One of my favorite photo memories was waking up early, taking the first bus up a mountain, cresting the hill, and seeing Machu Picchu just lit up in the morning sun with like mist settling in the mountains. It gives me chills just thinking about it. It was one of those moments so beautiful, I just wanted to keep it forever.
That had been on my bucket list since I was a kid with the Viewmaster going through. I just had to see Machu Picchu.
And it was worth it. And so today we wanted to talk about our bucket list items that we've experienced that we hope you experience too, and also our bucket list items that we've still yet to check off. And we want to hear what yours are too, because we want some inspiration. The world is starting to open back up and I'm ready for it, Tony.
First, let's talk about our sponsor, Squarespace. They make websites. So you should set up a website because it's far better than simply social media. Social media is filled with ads. You have information you want to share with the world, whether it's photos or information about your business. Head to squarespace.com/Chelsea. Set up a website completely free. You'll see you can choose from many different designs. You can set up a store. You can see detailed analytics about who visits your site. Make it all possible. And after the trial, once you love it, use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off. Thanks, Squarespace.
Tony, my first bucket list item that I want everyone to experience is kind of broad, because this one can be super inexpensive or it could be very expensive, and that's just nature and wildlife photography. And I mean actually taking time to commit to it, because some of my favorite memories, of course we had great trips like going to Iceland and seeing nature and wildlife, but even just going to our local park, Harkness Memorial State Park, those are my favorite times, even though that's not a super extravagant trip.
Can I make this more specific?
Oh,
because
what?
if it's a bucket list thing, it should be a bit of a challenge. I think people should get up half an hour before sunrise, or get up an hour before sunrise and get to a location right about sunrise.
Ooh.
So they can watch the sunrise in a place with animals, because that's really where it's magical. That's the kind of experience that you take with you for life. And everybody's been in nature at some point, but not everybody goes out of their way to sort of immerse themselves in the best that nature has. And once you get there, don't take a hike. Like, find a beautiful spot and just stay still and absorb it. And be with your camera and let things come to you, whether it's light and mist or whether it's animals, because it definitely will happen.
I think that that's the difficult part. People go walking around looking for animals, and you sometimes just sit there for an hour. And it really is about the journey. You learn to just appreciate watching them, their fights, their, feeding one another, or they're just hanging out, and you learn to appreciate their behavior. And really, I'm the type of person, right? I can't pay attention to a movie, but when I go out and watch nature, I can just sit there for an hour and never look at my phone and just watch. And it's so peaceful. And science backs this up, Tony, because there are all sorts of studies that being around nature lowers your blood pressure, boosts your creativity, lowers your stress. So it's good for you, and it's going to be good for your photography.
And for the bucket list challenge, you get there an hour before sunrise or so.
Yeah.
You wait a couple of hours. No phone, no headphones. Just experience nature. I know I'm asking an impossible task of this generation, but you'll remember it. It'll be time well spent.
You're going to love it. It's going to be good for you.
A lot of most photographers have taken pictures of people. And they maybe didn't get the best shots in the world. But what you don't necessarily understand is that the process of taking pictures of people is a 50-50 process. The photographer can't make fantastic pictures of an unwilling person.
Yeah.
Professional models, however, bring so much to a photo, and it's something that I think every photographer should experience. Yeah.
Taking photos of a professional model, it changes your experience taking portraits, and it's also really fun. I love the experience we had in Thailand, Tony, where we had that tour, and I got 2 models and hair and makeup and wardrobe.
We did one workshop in our life, and this was it.
This was our one workshop. And it was so much fun to see that there were photographers there that don't typically take pictures of models, and they really enjoyed themselves. And having a professional that knows how to pose and knows how to find the light, it frees you up to just like practice your composition and be more creative. And it's just a fun process that teaches you a lot about portraits.
And as a flip side to this bucket list item, I would say be a model for a professional photographer. And a lot of you are saying, oh no, I'm not camera ready.
Yeah.
I don't want to be the subject. But that's part of what you need to overcome, because it's a pretty amazing experience to have a professional direct you. And if they're really good, they will create an amazing photo of you. And that makes you feel good about yourself, but you also learn a little bit about posing and lighting and expression and being the subject. And you will bring that with you when you're back behind the camera.
Yeah, and I have to say, if you're worried about how to find a professional model, there are sites that you can find professional models, but I would actually recommend for your first time just going to a workshop like people did with me, because then you'll have someone setting up the model, the hair, the makeup, all of that, and you can just enjoy the experience. Make it a little easier for you.
Well, speaking of workshops, I also think everyone should have working alongside a professional photographer on their bucket list.
Yeah.
Because you can read books and watch videos, but the experience of being there, especially alongside one of your heroes, is so very different. And we've been really lucky because of our position. We've been able to shoot alongside many of our favorite photographers.
Street photography with Ira Block. That was awesome.
National Geographic photographer Ira Block,
Yeah.
Portrait photography with Lindsay Adler.
Yeah.
Portrait photography with Miguel Quiles. Like all these people who are just amazing. And I learned so much from every single person I shot with that I could not have learned from reading or watching anything.
Yeah, and they have, so many people have great workshops. Ira Block has workshops, like a ton of photographers do. So if there's someone that you admire, you should look up and see if they have workshops. This sounds like I'm about to announce a sale on ours, but we don't have one. So you're gonna have to look up somebody else's. It's just an experience I really enjoyed, and I think that other people will enjoy it too. It will improve your photography, and you'll learn to see that other people shoot differently and have different skills.
It's worth saving for.
Yeah. Okay, so this next bucket list item, it's not as glam as the other ones have been, but I think it's the most important, and that's taking photos of your family, your life, and your traditions. I took time to do this for my Nana Lucy because she would have us over every Sunday. She would make us rice and beans and empanadillas, and it was one of my favorite things to do. So we went and we took pictures of her cooking, her mannerisms, her cute little apron, her big glasses, all the things I never want to forget about her. And I have to say, I didn't immediately connect to those photos because they just happened. But when I stumbled upon them a year later and she was no longer able to cook for us anymore, like I was so happy. I was like, oh, I will show these to my grandchildren. Like, this is real life. These are good pictures of my actual favorite things.
But this is a challenge for serious photographers because we spend all our time chasing the beautiful or interesting things, the unusual, the remarkable things. This is chasing the usual and forcing your eye to once again see the things that you've become completely habituated to.
Yeah.
But it's that magic of looking back at your parents or your grandparents' photos, who were probably just snapshots taken with some disposable camera, but they captured bits of your life that are long since gone.
Yeah, and you know what's funny is that we are always like, we do pose our daughter Madeline all the time, and we'll be like, oh, this light is good, stand here and stand there. But our favorite photos that we share all the time are like the one that you sent us in a text the other day of her like slumped over in the back of the seat sleeping in the car, because our daughter has the ability to fall asleep anywhere, so we documented it. And think of those moments, like where your kid always leaves his shoes, or the funny haircut that they think looks good that you don't think you want to document, but you really should, or like your favorite recipe that your spouse makes, or the coffee cup that they use every day. Take these ordinary items and moments and take the time to document them.
Next up on our list is night photography.
Yeah.
You should take the time and go out and photograph things at night, because the world is magical.
It's so different.
At night.
It's different, yeah.
Not talking about the blue hour. I'm talking about sun is set, stars are out, lights are up. Things that you have become totally accustomed to seeing in the day are completely different. Ugly things during the day can be magical at night. It's an entirely different world to explore.
Yeah, like we have this bridge, the Groton Bridge, the Gold Star Bridge, and underneath it is really ugly during the day, but we've taken some really nice night photography photos there. And so things that you're overlooking during the day, especially if you're from a small town like we are, we're not in New York City, you can find some pretty magical things at night.
And you can use the stars to create interesting subjects, like especially out in the wilderness, like find the North Star and do star trails rotating around a lighthouse or a building or anything.
Yeah, it's really fun. One of our first videos was at Seaside Night Photography with Tyler. We made that video and we put a glow stick on a string and like made circles and stuff. It was so much fun.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah, as a corollary to that, definitely do some night painting. And we have this described in the landscape chapter of Stunning Digital Photography. You want to know exactly how to do it.
That's our photo book. Can I just recommend though, go with a buddy or with a group of people. There are night photography groups, and that's just a safety thing. I mean, it's more fun too when you're with other people, but there's safety in numbers, and I know a lot of you live in places where, you know, you might get your gear stolen or something, so just be safe with that one. I don't want your bucket list item to end up hurting you. Tony, this one's more extravagant. We took months of scuba diving lessons so that we could do underwater photography in the ocean. And then we were fortunate enough to travel to Hawaii, go scuba diving, and get photos of turtles, and we saw a shark. Like, it was awesome. I'll never forget it, and I hope everybody else gets that experience.
Yeah, especially the photography component can be helpful because it just helps you focus on what you're actually seeing instead of just letting everything go past.
Yeah.
And you can definitely just go on a dive tour in lots of different islands and get most of that experience. But I think actually going through the training is good because you're not so stressed out about just like drowning. And also spend a little time habituating to it.
You can also do it in your pool. Like our book cover for Stunning Digital Photography was taken in our pool. And
I think underwater portraits are so interesting and so challenging.
Very challenging. And also, I remember the UPS guy showed up and walked in our backyard and just saw us fully clothed in our pool. And I'm just like, I'm not even going to explain. Please just leave.
When we were heavy into this, we required like thousands of dollars of equipment because we had to use, I was using a 5D Mark II DSLR with a big Aquatica housing.
It was Ike Light.
And that alone the housing cost $2,000. But nowadays, really, you can get like a $10 or $20 sleeve for your smartphone and take pretty good pictures underwater. So the bar has been lowered. This is now much more attainable. And if you haven't been doing it, then do it.
Yeah, that's a fun one. Here's another one. You should get a true website for your photos, because when you put it on your social media, it's chronological. People don't get to see your very best photos, and people judge you by your worst photos, and you don't want that. You can set up a Squarespace website for free for 14 days and put all of your pictures in there and see how great they look when you actually organize them in an intelligent way. And if you like it and you want to buy it, which I just know that you will, you can get 10% off with the coupon code Chelsea. So go into the description down below. It's squarespace.com/Chelsea, and the coupon code is Chelsea. So thanks, Squarespace.
Sincerely, setting up a portfolio should be on people's bucket list.
Yeah.
Because when I did it, for me, it changed my outlook on photography. I was constantly now going out seeking a better photo for my portfolio and looking for those like hero shots.
Yeah, it gets you thinking differently too, because I'll take a picture and Tony will say it's good and I'll say it's not portfolio good. So it gets you actually taking pictures for your website. Yeah.
These have been items that we've already crossed off our bucket list that we think you should check out, but we are not done. We still have a bunch of things on our bucket list.
Well, I sent you a whole a notes thing from my phone. Like, actually write these down. Write down the ones you want to do and make it real. If you have a dream, imagine it, write it down, and make plans, even if they're far off, because that means you really want to make it happen. Commit to it. So we wrote ours down. The next ones coming up are the ones that we hope to do one day. We definitely want your feedback if you've done these already, so please write in the comments. And the first one we're going to mention is the Northern Lights, because we've been talking about this for a long time.
I've failed to see the Northern Lights at least a dozen times, because regularly on the news it'll say you'll be able to see the Northern Lights from, you know, this is from Connecticut or Massachusetts, like different places I've lived, and I always go out
You got to
staring at the northern sky.
You have to commit more
Nothing.
than driving a couple hours. You have to go to Finland or Norway, or can you see them from Iceland?
Definitely in different times of the year, but you can't just go on a given Tuesday. You got to be there like at the worst times to be there. You need to be there in the winter, because it really needs to be very cold and very far north. And even then the odds aren't 100%, which is why we haven't managed to do it. but people do it. We just need to commit to it.
We're going to commit to it.
It's one of these lifelong things that you might have to build to for years, because it can be an expensive trip. It's going to be physically uncomfortable because you're going to be cold.
Yeah, but we can wear clothes for that. I mean, I'm going to get bundled up.
Just this one time we can wear clothes.
We can wear clothes for once. I'm going to bring hot cocoa. We're going to be set. If you have good location ideas for this, I want to know. I saw those cool glass igloos in Finland.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if that's gimmicky or if that's actually cool. We could get a cool cap. We could do this. Maybe we could do another workshop, our second workshop.
Tony and Chelsea try to see the Northern Lights again. You also can't just go out for a day because it's not 100%. You need to be out there for like a week, and then, you know, maybe you see it every night or maybe you see it no nights. We got to commit to it though.
We're going to do it. We're going to be fun. All right, this is another one that's been on our bucket list for a long time, but it's really difficult and expensive, and we definitely need tips. That's an African safari. We've been waiting. We love nature. We love animals, but it takes you got to go for 2 or 3 weeks, and we have a kid. So we've been waiting for her to be old enough where she's interested. And so that's happening soon. She's 17. I think we could go next year or the next if the world allows it.
Oh, yeah, that's a good point.
If the world would just chill out so I could live my bucket list dreams, that'd be great.
I think we've been to maybe 40 or 50 different zoos around the world, and have been out doing wildlife photography thousands of times. We just have never made the commitment for the ultimate wildlife photographer adventure. So in the comments, I'd really like to hear people's advice on different safaris, be specific, this tour, this time of year, this country.
We're going to be empty nesters.
What lenses to bring.
We're going to be traveling. Tony, I really want to see puffins. This is my next one. Where do I see the puffins, everybody?
What are puffins?
They're a bird that's just so cute. They're colorful. I love the pictures where the little fish are hanging in their beak. That's the exact shot that I want. I'm going to put it right on my Squarespace so when people land on my page, they're like, Chelsea Northrup is dope. She's seen puffins. I'm thinking we could go to Maine, or also Iceland has puffins, and go on a specific little safari. Are you down?
Yeah, I would love to see some puffins. They're like penguins, but better, right?
No, I wouldn't say better. I'm not here to say one's better. I just really like the puffins.
Another thing I've been trying to cross off my list forever is bears, just bears in general.
Bears.
I've lived out in the wilderness in Massachusetts, and there's bears all over the place. Never seen one in the wild. Despite me chasing down every sighting, I failed. And so I need to go out of my way. And what I want to do is that hero shot in Alaska, where the grizzlies are pulling the salmon out of the river.
That's
and there's
what I want.
blood and salmon guts everywhere.
I'm so glad we want the same things, because it'd be awkward if you wanted to see grizzlies with salmon guts and I wanted to become a chef. It just wouldn't work as much.
I specifically want to do those little puddle jumper airplanes.
Yeah.
Those rickety things where they just take you out into the wilderness.
That's specifically rickety?
Yeah, I don't know why. That's part of my vision. Other people like the cruises, and I think that could be cool. And I would do the cruise, but that's not really my bucket list.
Grizzly bears. Is it sounding like we don't have much time left in this world? We're just I want to see the most dangerous animals and the coldest nights. Okay, what's this one, Tony?
This one is going to seem lame compared to everything else, but I really want to make a photo book. And here's the thing. This is inspired by Jared Polin, because he makes photo books all the time for everything. And I need to do more of this, because too often I focus on creating a single frame that sums up an entire story, 8x10 format vertical for Instagram, and I hope that captures it. But there's no way to capture so many things without taking a series of photos and making a story out of it. And that's what a photo book is good for. And it gives you a permanent physical reminder that you can put on your bookshelf that's not going to degrade with the digital era, that you can make multiple copies of and give to people. So for my favorite things in life, whether it's trips or people, I want to start making photo books.
You gonna make a book about me?
I just might.
You know what? I think we should make a book for every single one of our bucket list items. A whole book on puffins. Imagine it.
That's a good idea.
Just for us. And when our friends come over, we'll say, look at it. Look at this puffin book. Soak it in.
In the comments down below, I'd like to hear what your bucket list items are and when you think you're going to be able to do them. These should be like lifelong photographic accomplishments.
Yeah, I don't think they have to be expensive or super grand either. I like the traditions one, and the photo book one sounds really good too. So tell us what you think. I want to hear recommendations for us. What do we have to do? What should I add to my list? I'm dying to know. And I really do think you should get a Squarespace because it's like a photo book, but it's a website. And it's really inexpensive and easy to use. And you can get a free trial for 14 days with no credit card needed. So go to the description down below and click the link that says squarespace.com/Chelsea and use the coupon code Chelsea to get 10% off. Thanks so much for listening to the Picture This podcast, and your word of mouth means everything to us. Because of you, we have new listeners all of the time. So tell your friends, write a review, and thanks for your support. See you next time.